I'm Jason. I'm Todd. This is our little child Ziggy. Say hello, Ziggy.
Hi, Ziggy.
And we're the Glamping Guys. Hey everybody, it's Jason with the Glamping Guys. I hope all of you out there in the YouTube world are having a glamtastic day today. Well, we finally got our first cold front. We have had temperatures in the evenings for the past couple of nights in the mid-50s, and the highs have been in the low 70s. So I'm sure you can only imagine how happy we are to finally have some cool weather rolling in, because this summer was hot and it was brutal. There were heat records just blowing up all over the state of Florida this year. I have gotten now inspired to do some of my cooler weather cooking, so I thought I'd show you guys one of my recipes, which is cornbread. So I was thinking, wait a minute, I'm gonna make some cornbread. I'm getting to try for the first time my oven, or if you would say, my ovens. So then I was like, okay, well, which one am I going to try first? Am I going to try the gas oven, or am I going to try my convection oven? And then I was thinking to myself, wait a minute, why don't I just do both? So I'm going to make my cornbread recipe, but I'm going to double the recipe, and we're going to do a comparison. Isn't that going to be fun? Because I would like to know also which is going to cook more even, which will cook, I guess, quicker in the allotted amount of time. The recipe calls for 20 minutes, so we'll see. And I just thought it'd be really fun to make a video, show all of you, and we can try this together as I'm trying it for the first time. Because, you know, I'm so excited to finally get to use the ovens. So I think what I'm going to do is, when we do the convection oven, I was thinking to myself, well, it comes with a rack, but the rack goes right in the middle. You can't adjust the metal rack. And I don't want it, from my experience baking, I don't want the cornbread to go too high up, because I feel that that's going to cook it quicker and it might burn the top. So I want the cornbread kind of more in the lower middle. So I have a grill pan that we use for grilling our vegetables outside, and I'm like, well, what if I just flip it over? Then I can take my cornbread pan and just set it right on top, and that should give me the height and a little bit more of an even cooking in the convection oven. So we're going to try this. I've never done it, and we're going to see together what happens. I also have watched a lot of YouTube videos using an RV gas oven. It's pretty much a consensus across the board that most people use a pizza stone to distribute the heat. So I bought a pizza stone right here. So cooking the cornbread in the oven, I'm going to use a pan. Now I have cooked it in a cast iron skillet, and there's no better way to cook cornbread, but because we're doing a comparison, I'm using the same exact pans for the oven and for the convection oven. And to help with drips, in case it, you know, by chance overflows, I'm just going to put them both on a cooking sheet just for a little added protection. This is my typical cornbread recipe. My grandmother taught me this, and it's so easy, and it's made with JIFFY cornbread mix, but I do doctor it up a little bit. The main recipe basically just calls for a little bit of milk and an egg, but I like my cornbread on the sweeter side. So I'm going to be adding a few other ingredients as well to kind of make it my own. So what you're going to need is 3 boxes of the Jiffy cornbread mix. You're going to need 1 can of cream of corn, whatever brand you want to use. Then you're going to add, the recipe calls per box 1/3 cup of milk. Because we're adding extra liquid from the cream corn, I reduce the milk down to just 2/3. So basically we're going to do 1/3 of milk, 1/3 of milk for the second box, and then the third box, no milk, will be using the cream corn instead. I hope that's making sense. So to sweeten it up, you also want to add 1/2 cup of sugar. The other ingredient, and I just kind of eyeball it, but if you want to measure, you want to add about 1 tablespoon of honey, and this really gives it a good flavor. And then of course, the last thing is you also want to add your eggs. We're going to mix it up right now with the magic of editing. I'm not going to bore you with any of that, but we'll just speed up the camera so you can watch me just getting this all prepared. Now remember, I am doubling the recipe for both pans, but the recipe I just told you is just for 1 pan. So you should be good to go. Okay, so we have all the boxes of the Jiffy cornbread mix dumped in the bowl. So then we're going to be adding the sugar. And we're going to be adding the milk. You want to use whole milk. Okay, we're going to be adding the cream corn. Okay, we're going to add the honey. Okay, and then last but not least, we're going to be adding the eggs. Alright, so you can see this is a really easy recipe. So now we're going to mix everything up, and then we'll get started with the baking. Okay, so we have the cornbread all mixed up. And I'm going to come in a little closer to show you guys. For any of you who've used the Jiffy corn muffin mix, it has the same consistency. Just remember to reduce your milk a little bit. Okay, so now we're just going to let this rest. After it rests for about 5 to 10 minutes, it does seem like it has, I don't know, maybe fermented. You can see some little bubbles. So I'm not sure if maybe there's a little bit of yeast in it and it's rising a little. I don't know, but maybe you guys might know. So the next thing that I'll do is get my pans buttered up. And you know, a lot of people nowadays, they just use cooking spray, and you can, it's really easy to do that. But I actually like to add butter. It just makes it taste so much better having the cornbread cook in the butter and not in like a cooking spray. So I'll get these all buttered up, and then we'll pour in the cornbread. I just basically take the stick of butter and just rub it around in the pan. You know, you can also cut off like a little piece and put it in a paper towel and then rub it in the pan. But this is just so much easier and quicker for me. And I don't care if the butter gets a little bit messy, because this is going to be going on the cornbread later. So, and it's not perfect, but you just do the bottom and the sides. Okay, so it's time to go ahead and get the ovens preheated. And remember, this is my first time using either one. I'm really excited. This is going to be kind of a cool experiment. The one thing that you always want to remember though when you use a convection oven, we actually had one when we lived in our sticks and bricks house. You always want the temperature to be 25 degrees cooler than what the recipe calls for. So for example, the recipe for the cornbread is 400 degrees for 20 minutes. I just, for the most part, followed the box. And then if it needs to cook longer, you want to have like a little toothpick to insert into the cornbread to make sure that it comes out clean. Or you can just use a knife. I just use a knife. Anyway, I'm kind of sidestepping here. But you just want to reduce the temperature by 25 degrees because with a convection oven, it circulates hot air and that makes the food cook a little bit faster, and it also makes the oven a little bit hotter. So we are going to set it at 375. And now we're going to preheat the gas oven. Okay, and I just set it to 400 degrees. This is actually really neat. It's got a digital display. Right now it's slowly heating up, and then on this side is a timer. I'm just going to use my iPhone timer once I put them both in, because I want to, obviously have them both cook at the same time. We'll be able to compare again which one cooks a little quicker, if they cook the same, uneven. I might have to take them both out and turn them. I just don't know, so we're going to see. This is exciting, isn't it? I'm going to go ahead and pour the batter in the pans and get that ready to go. I'm going to come over and show you one. I'm not going to be able to tilt it or anything, but hopefully you'll be able to see that. So I filled them up about the same amount. While we're waiting for the ovens to preheat, a little cool little tip as well. You want to try to avoid as much food particles going down into your gray tank. Usually before I even wash my dishes, I'm going to grab a paper towel and I will wipe out most of this food residue and just throw it in the trash. These food particles can actually over time kind of get lodged in places inside the gray tank. It can clog up your gray tank valve, and it can also clog your sensors. But the other thing that's the most common is it can create a smell, because it's basically food that's rotting in your gray tank. So you want to try to get as much of the food particles out of your dishes before you wash your dishes. Okay guys, the ovens have preheated, and now we're going to put in the cornbread. Okay, so now we're going to do the gas oven. The pizza stone will hopefully distribute the heat more evenly, and because the flame is on the bottom, and that pizza stone kind of acts as a buffer when the flame hits it and helps disperse the heat more throughout the entire oven, instead of that hot flame just hitting the bottom of the pan that the food's in. So again, we will see. I just can't wait. This is going to be fun. Hey Siri, set timer for 20 minutes.
Okay, 20 minutes and counting.
Okay, cool. Alright, 20 minutes guys. So with the magic of editing, I'll see you guys in just a second with, fingers crossed, some nice golden brown cornbread. Alright, so let's check the convection oven first, because I would think that this would probably cook a little quicker, if not for the 20 minutes. So we're going to peek in real quick. Okay, that actually looks like it might almost be done. So I'm going to shut the door, hit start, let that continue cooking. Okay, so let's check the gas oven. Here's the pizza stone right here, and let's go in and check it out. Okay, that definitely is not done cooking. All right, so let's take out the cornbread. Okay, it definitely needs to be cooked a little bit more, and I'll show you. See the middle? Right there. It still hasn't set quite yet. And you can also see that it cooked more here and in the back. So I'm definitely going to turn it around and put it back in, and we'll set the timer for 10 minutes. You know, it's funny too. You know how to know that your RV is good and level? Your doors don't close. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the cornbread out of the oven, and we're going to turn that around as well, and I want to see how it's been baking. This definitely, so you can sit jiggling right there. It still needs to cook a little more. It hasn't completely set, but you saw the convection where through here it was cooked a little bit more, and it was more brown over in that area. But you can see the distribution of the heat actually seems to be better in the gas oven. So I think going forward, I might just use the gas oven, because the convection oven seems to have hot spots. And we're gonna put it back in the oven, and I'm gonna flip it too. I'm also trying to position the pan right over the top of the pizza stone. I don't want it to go too far to the back or too far forward. Just get it centered in there on that oven rack in that sweet spot. And so far it seems that the cornbread in the oven is looking a little bit better than in here. I think one of the cornbreads have finally finished cooking. The convection oven, I think, is the winner as far as cooking it a little bit quicker, and that kind of makes sense. All right, it looks like it's done. So far, I would call it a cornbread success. So I'm going to stick the knife in it, and we're going to see if it's done. Cool, the knife came out clean. So it is finished. Okay, so I think let's check on the oven cornbread. So I think what I'll do is just kind of give you a close-up this way. Okay guys, so this is the convection oven. And it definitely has a nice golden brown to it. But it's also got a little bit of unevenness. You can see it to the cooking, but it did crack up top, and that's always a good sign when you make cornbread. Okay, and then this is where I'm really surprised, but the gas oven, I feel, cooked it more even, and it definitely needed to be in the oven probably for about another 10 minutes, even longer than the convection oven, but it did cook it more evenly. I don't know. What do you guys think? Maybe. Well, I think the last thing that we need to do is cut into the cornbread and see how it looks on the inside and give it a taste test. And already cutting into it, I can see a little bit of a difference down in this corner where I'm taking out this piece. It's definitely a little bit more well done than the piece down in this corner. And I mean, you can even see the difference in color. See how dark that is and how much lighter, even on the bottom. See how dark that is on the bottom and how light that is. Well, I know everybody has their preference. Some people like their cornbread a little more with a crunchy crust. I personally like mine a little bit more soft. So I think I'm going to just put this back in the pan so it'll stay warm. But we'll try a bite. Good stuff. Hey Ziggy, do you want a little bite? You want a little bite? Whoops! It's funny, he slips on this floor so often. There you go. Alright, well, Ziggy likes it. Okay, let's try the other one. I have a feeling I'm going to like the other one a little better. You know, even cutting into it, it's, you can just feel when the knife goes through it, it's a little bit more spongier. And I have a feeling it's going to be a little more moist. I think with the convection oven, you know, because of the hot air, it probably dried that out a little bit too. But you know, convection ovens are great though for roasting. You know, if you want some, you know, things kind of crunchy. All right, so it definitely cooked it darker on the bottom. I was kind of expecting that because of the hot flame, but the pizza stone definitely seemed to have helped. Yeah, and this isn't, you can see it's not falling apart as much as the other one. It's not as crumbly. I definitely like this one better. I think in the future, I'm going to probably reduce the cooking time on this, probably 5 minutes. Turn off the oven, but let it just still kind of cook. Because I feel that, I mean, it's edible and it tastes good, but I feel that just probably like maybe another 5 minutes in the oven, this would have started to get burnt. It's kind of like that borderline kind of crust. You know, some of you guys might love it that way. I personally don't. So they both have, I guess, their pluses and minuses. But I don't know. The conclusion for me, doing all of this for you guys, both of the cornbread tastes great. I think I like this one a little more. It's got a little more moisture to it. Overall, you put enough butter on either one, they're going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing with some chili. My biggest thing about all this is you guys out there who do this kind of stuff in your RVs, you are absolutely right. It is very, very warm in here. So I would never do this in the summertime. Never, ever in a million years would I even attempt to try this. Okay, well, we've got the chili going. We've got the cornbread. Time to get some butter put on it and have a great dinner on a very cool evening. So I'm so glad that you guys came along for this video. I just thought it'd be fun to kind of do a little comparison test, and I had a lot of fun, and I hope you guys had fun watching. So until next time, you guys have a glamtastic day, and stay tuned. Hey Ziggy, you want another bite? We do a little dance. There you go.
Leave a comment to say hi. If you like us, please subscribe. And if you don't, our little fluffy dog will attack you.